everybody, welcome back to another video. Now, if you've been following my channel over the last few years, or a couple of years now, you'd know that at the end of every ATP Tour season, then I do a little summary about the season. And it's usually about 10 to 15, 20 minutes, so it's not the longest, but I'm going to keep that going. It's a little tradition now that I'm doing on the channel, where I haven't done a lot of tennis predictions this year, but I'm making that up by doing a summary of what happened in this season. So hope you'll enjoy this video, and yeah, let's do this. So at the start of the season, there was this tournament called the United Cup, which is where men and women from their countries would go together and compete against all the other countries to see who would win the tournament. So it was about, I think, just under 2 weeks, this tournament, but it was really good to watch. I actually went there. I did watched one of the group stage matches. I watched two of them. It was Norway versus Brazil, which was very good, but it was very dominated by a certain country. Yeah, Team USA, they came out and dominated most of the tournament. They did very, very well. Both men and women, all of their players played insanely well. So, good on them. They won the inaugural United Cup. But my main highlight was Alex de Minaur beating Rafael Nadal.
And the Demon delivers for Australia.
After not being able to play in the Australian Open last year due to some very interesting reasons, Djokovic came into the Australian Open with having only played one small little tournament at the start of the year at Adelaide, which he won. But he absolutely dominated the whole tournament. He absolutely just went out there, destroyed every single player that got in his way. He only lost one set the whole tournament, and he won his 22nd Grand Slam title, which equaled Rafael Nadal's titles on 22. So it was going to be very, very interesting going into the French Open. But unfortunately for Rafael Nadal, he would not be able to be at the French Open to try and stop Djokovic, as he suffered with injury in round 2 of the Australian Open, losing in the second round, having to... Well, he didn't retire, but unfortunately for him, the 2023 season and his career was looking very, very bad. Carlos Alcaraz, he came back after not playing in the Australian Open due to injury. He started playing some really good tournaments, including Indian Wells, which he won the title after beating Medvedev in the finals in straight sets. Even though Medvedev played some insanely good tennis all week, Alcaraz still said no and won his first Indian Wells title. Now, this tournament showed us that this young player here, Jannik Sinner, was starting to get very good. He beat Alcaraz in such a good semi-final match to set up a very interesting final with the hard-court specialist, Daniil Medvedev. Daniil Medvedev, though, ended up winning the match and winning his 4th title of 2023 after an impressive run. He had such a good run at the start of the season after the Australian Open. He fell outside the top 10 of the rankings. Then he ended up winning 3 titles in a row at Qatar, Dubai, and Rotterdam. So, some really good playing. And Medvedev was starting to look like a threat to the other players going into the clay court season, even though he's not very good on the clay, but we'll see how that turns out. The Monte Carlo Masters was a very good tournament to watch, but Andrei Rublev ended up pulling through to win his first ever Masters 1000 title, beating Holger Rune in the finals, and this started a not so good clay court season for Novak Djokovic, as he lost to Lorenzo Musetti, who as well got a double bagel earlier in the tournament, beating Lucanati 6-love, 6-love, which is very, impressive, to say the least. With Djokovic not playing the Madrid Masters in 2023, Carlos Alcaraz stormed to his second title in a row in Madrid and winning his fourth title of the season. So he's been looking very, very good, and he's going to be very confident going into the French Open. Very surprisingly at Rome, Daniil Medvedev came through and won the title, his first clay court title, which was very, very impressive, considering how he's not good on clay at all. He really hates playing on the clay, but he managed to win the titles. But Carlos Alcaraz, he was nowhere to be seen. Round 3, I think it was round 3, he got knocked out by a player who was ranked outside the top 100 in straight sets. And Djokovic, not looking good going into the French Open, as he lost to Holger Rune, which his confidence hasn't been very good, so we'll see how he goes going into the French Open. At the French Open, Roland Garros, Novak Djokovic cruised his way to a 23rd Grand Slam singles title, meaning that he is the most successful male player in terms of Grand Slam titles, overtaking Rafael Nadal. He did not have a good start of the clay court season. Djokovic did not get a single title, but he managed to pull through and take home his, I think, third Roland Garros title, so very impressive stuff from him. He only dropped 2 sets the whole tournament, one against Karen Khachanov, and then he beat Carlos Alcaraz and only dropped 1 set in that match as well, so shows a lot over his rivalry with Alcaraz and Djokovic, but this was their second ever meeting and sparked up a huge rivalry this season. Wimbledon, the third Grand Slam of the season, and it was a very good one. Carlos Alcaraz ended up cruising through, well, not cruising, but he won this title for his second Grand Slam and his first at Wimbledon, beating Djokovic in the finals. It was a really close one, 5 sets. I think it went like over 4 hours, so a very close match between the pair of them. But little did he know that this would have been his last title of his 2023 campaign. Up next after Wimbledon was the Toronto Open, Toronto Masters, however you want to call it. They have like a bunch of different names every year, I swear. But it was won by Jannik Sinner after Carlos Alcaraz getting knocked out in the quarterfinals, I think it was. I know he lost to Tommy Paul. But Djokovic wasn't playing in this tournament, but he was allowed back in America. So he was getting ready in Cincinnati to play a very big tournament. But Jannik Sinner cruised through, first Masters title, beating Alex de Minaur in the finals in straight sets. So he was starting to emerge and start to play very, very well. On to the Cincinnati Masters, Novak Djokovic won the title and claimed his 39th Masters 1000 title, beating Carlos Alcaraz in what is such an epic final. It was 3 sets, Djokovic saved a match point in the middle set, and then Alcaraz saved, I think, 3 match points in the third set, but Djokovic kept us calm, coming back through what seemed like an injury, but it wasn't an injury. It was I think it was the heat and everything. He was struggling a lot, but he came through and managed to win the title. But Alcaraz was starting to drop a bit, because this whole tournament, even though he won all his matches up until the final, he was losing at least 1 set to some players that he probably shouldn't have lost a set to. Now, throughout the US Open, we started to see a young American start to come through and win some big matches. Ben Shelton, he wasn't really heard of at the start of the year, except he did make a good run to the, I think, quarterfinals at the Australian Open, but since then he wasn't really heard of. But he managed to make it to the semi-finals at the US Open, losing to Novak Djokovic, but he's starting to make a big name for himself in the world of tennis. A lot of fans were cheering for this one. Daniil Medvedev ended up beating Carlos Alcaraz in a very good semi-final match, 4 sets, but Medvedev kept his calm all the way through and Alcaraz was not happy about it, pulling out of the Davis Cup group stage because of this, as he wasn't doing too well after this match, let's just say. But after all of this, Novak Djokovic won the title and claimed his 24th Grand Slam title. Something that has never been done before, reaching new heights in his career, but I don't think he's done yet. He had such a good tournament. He didn't drop all but 2 sets the whole tournament. And so going into 2024 Grand Slams and the Olympics, he's going to be looking like a big, big threat to everybody. I mean, all the younger players and everyone in general. The Shanghai Masters return in 2023 for the first time since 2019, but Herbert Hurkacz managed to come through and win the title, his second Masters title, first since 2021. But it was a very good week for him, beating Andrei Rublev in the finals. And Rublev, let's just say, was not happy about it.
Reigns supreme at the Rolex Shanghai Masters.
And for all the Alcaraz fans, Grigor Dimitrov beat Alcaraz quite earlier in the tournament. I can't remember what round it was, but it was a very good win for him. And Dimitrov ended up running through to the semi-finals before getting beaten by Rublev. But Alcaraz's year-end #1 hopes were starting to get a little bit hurt after this one. The start of the Paris Masters was not good at all for Carlos Alcaraz, losing in the second round to Roman Safulin, who was outside the top 50, I'm pretty sure, at the time. So Alcaraz, you can sense he was starting to drop quite significantly in his game. But Novak Djokovic, after not playing a tournament since the US Open, came through to beat Grigor Dimitrov in the finals, straight sets, to claim his 40th Masters 1000 title, and also got his revenge over Holger Rune in the quarterfinals after last year's loss. But he had such a good tournament and was looking very good going into the Nitto ATP finals. Now, a lot of stuff went down at the Nitto ATP finals. Within the round robins, Jannik Sinner defeated Novak Djokovic, which they both still qualified for the semi-finals, but it was such a good match and the Italian crowd went absolutely nuts the whole way through.
Sinner delivers.
Then in the semi-finals, Novak Djokovic and Carlos Alcaraz had one last meeting for the season, which Djokovic absolutely dominated, winning in straight sets. A very good match for him, putting Alcaraz out of the tournament, and Djokovic setting up another rematch with Jannik Sinner in the finals. But in the finals, Novak Djokovic won and claimed his 7th Nitto ATP Finals championship, and getting the year-end #1, wrapping off an amazing 2023 season. Insanely good with the 3 Grand Slams and 2 Masters titles. Yeah, 2 Masters titles and the Nitto ATP Finals. So a very good year for the 36-year-old, but he is not done. He's going to come into 2024 with his head up high, and he's going to do well. I am sure of it. That is going to be the end of this video, everybody. Hope you all enjoyed. Thank you all so much for watching. If you want to see more content like this, then like and subscribe for more. I will be posting stuff. We're on the road to 100 subscribers as well. We're not far away, but thank you all for the support. This year we've gained quite a lot in the last year, so it's been really good, and I'm really thankful for everybody. But also, if you want to check out my Twitch, it'll be in the link in the description below with my Instagram and Discord. But other than that, I hope you all enjoyed. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next one. Alright, bye-bye.